Hi, Neeraj. Good evening, and viewers. This is Colonel Virendra Kumar. I am with Mr. Neeraj Sharma, who has been development consultant in Afghanistan for quite a significant time. And today we are going to discuss lot many things about Afghanistan. You all are aware there are a lot of things which are changing and changing very fast in Afghanistan. It's right time that we keep on updating about all those events because they have got a direct impact on India. So, Neeraj, in today's episode, we are going to discuss, and there's a actually point which not many people are discussing. Is it the same Taliban or it is Taliban version 2? What you have to say about?
No, no. See, in my view, Taliban is Taliban. It is our vision 1 or vision 2, how we look at it. So just to convince ourselves, we may call it Taliban 2 or Taliban 1. The core remains the same. Taliban is Taliban. They have not deviated from their philosophy, from their ideology. Their operational actions may be different, but ideology remains the same. So it's the same Taliban. There's no difference. The only thing is, maybe they learned their lessons and they're trying to have a mix of moderate approach, good PR, maybe the dollars which they got have made them a little wiser. That's all.
Okay.
But it remains the same.
Okay. Today morning I was listening to one of the panelists on Dawn News. And, they were mentioning a lot of things. They were mentioning that, they gave the interview to a Khwateen, Tolo News Khwateen. She took the interview and she was quite impressed. And of course, they made a lot of statements that ladies will be allowed to work in education and health sector. So obviously, they want to change the impression of the world, maybe for the reasons which you mentioned. They want dollars, they want international recognition, legitimacy, and of course, they want to move around. In fact, there was a mention of one very strong point from one panelist on TV. They said these all political leadership of Taliban and the operational leadership of Taliban, they are two different sides actually, which really may or may not be aligned. Reason being, these political leaders, they are in Doha, they have moved all around Russia, Canada, USA, they have stayed in hotels. But let's leave it at that because the actions on the ground, they matter most. So basically our perception about them remain that they are the same Taliban because ideology has not changed. They just want to change the impression about themselves. Okay, so we get to that point. Now tell me one thing. What exactly is the interest of Pakistan? Do they really want a strong Taliban? And if they want a strong Taliban, why do they want a strong? And if they want weak Taliban, what advantage they have got?
See, from whatever little interactions I had with the people in Afghanistan who were in the government and the general public and students, the only impression I got was Pakistan needs an excuse for mischief. So whether Taliban is strong, whether Taliban is weak, whatever suits them, they'll not give up whatever is there in their basic DNA. Had it been so, they would have changed. US tried with sanctions, without sanctions, with aid, without aid, but this is an incorrigible country with the kind of ideology and the leadership which it has. I don't think anything matters. Even if Taliban is strong, they'll have their own way. If the Taliban is weak, it suits them. But we don't know the inherent. See, the strength of Taliban comes from the ideology they follow. A few years, there was a Pew survey which said 99% of the people favor Sharia. So if 99% of the people favor Sharia and they want Islamic law, Taliban is just a section of them with arms. The rest of them are without arms. So anybody who fears or who says that Taliban is cruel and all, it is part of them. See, they have not come from outside. They have been grown within that country itself. So, and with the aid of Pakistan. See.
Okay, But there is a very strong point which is coming out now in the discussions, and that point says that Pakistan wants a weak Taliban in Kabul, because if it at all it is weak, it is going to listen to Pakistan, and that meets the objective of providing Afghanistan, providing the strategic depth to Pakistan.
But
Will
Colonel
it be
Saab,
in
the
will it be in India's interest to have a strong Taliban? I'm not saying immediately. Immediately, in any case, situation is whatever is there in front of us. But do you think it will be in India's favor to have a strong Taliban which can take independent decision and may have the alignment at some point of time with India?
see, as far as India's stand is concerned, I don't know what the government will take or the diplomatic state it will be in. The country's leadership will definitely take and keep. It is expected that they'll keep the country's interest on the top and then decide whatever suits them. So with Taliban or without Taliban or any other regime in any other country, it's just the same. And a hands-off approach has been India's approach up to now, and I think that should continue. Why should we meddle in somebody else's problem? It's as simple as that. Let them see, it's their country, it's their problem. Let them decide. We can help to the extent we can. Why should we go 2 steps or 3 steps ahead and try to be a do-gooder? We are do-gooder if we keep quiet and see as the situation develops, because the primary objective of India's polity is to preserve our democracy, to do welfare for our own people, and those are the interests which our government will definitely keep in mind. I'm pretty sure of it. I don't know what happens, but this is what I feel.
Neeraj, your point is valid, but ultimately, you can't be aloof. Basic point is we are worried. We are worried because what happened in the Kashmir militancy in 90s, we are worried that the same may not repeat. That is why the entire concern is there. And the way the Pakistani deep establishment is celebrating now, it looks like as if they have won, it looks like that way. So that is why we are worried, and that is how we have to take deep interest in Afghanistan. Even if for the time being, we are on the back foot, I'm sure we are going to be on the front foot as well. But tell me, what is the implication of any idea of Vice President Saleh, who has gone to the Panjshir Valley, and what is his potential of creating trouble for Taliban?
I'll answer your question in 2 parts. First part is, a country with a begging ball can rejoice no matter how much they want. So it is up to Pakistan whether they feel sad or whether they feel happy. Even US had felt happy in 2001, is it not? So down the line, things are different. So, and more so, one of the strongest countries, whatever their actions were, it is up to them. But as far as Pakistan is concerned, if they feel happy, it's sad. It is sad because how long will they feel happy with a begging bowl? That is the first part. Second part, as far as Amarullah Saleh and his aides are there, son of Mr. Ahmad Shah Massoud in Panjshir Valley. Panjshir Valley, throughout these 20 years, had been an island which was separate from the other mainstream, so to say, and the stronghold of the warlords in Panjshir was different, and it did not have Taliban effect to that extent. In fact, you had made a statement that will they create trouble for Taliban? In fact, it is Taliban which is creating trouble for them at the moment. So which side the scale turns, we don't know. But as of now, seemingly, Saleh has a lot of following. Let's see how much trouble he is able to create. But it is ultimately, see, they want Afghanistan. Taliban also wants Afghanistan. What is good for them is ultimately for them to decide among themselves.
Yeah.
As observers, I at least feel sad for a country which could have developed and would have been a powerhouse of this particular region.
Okay.
Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and all together with Afghanistan would have been a very powerful mineral-rich region of the country.
Oh, yes, no doubt about that.
With
Okay.
lithium, with copper mines, and whatnot.
Okay. Now tell me one thing. Two incidents today. One is in Jalalabad, where people hosted the flag of Afghanistan. They took down the flag of Taliban, and there were Taliban fighters in the market. It happened there. Then second incident in Kabul, where the ladies, they came forward, they had the placards and they protested against basically Taliban. And in both the incidents, Taliban fighters were present, could not do anything. Now, taking control, especially the military control of a country through insurgency, is a different ball game. And ruling the country is altogether a different ball game, especially when you are looking for international legitimacy and international media is there. So how do you see how Taliban is going to manage this governance part, and will it change Taliban and their conduct?
Colonel Saab, you have answered your question yourself itself. When they are seeking legitimacy, they'll do all the PR exercise and the best of optics they can in this troubled time to gain sympathy and to change the view of the world, even for a short time. So whether it was women protesting in Kabul or some flag being hosted there, nothing can happen without the will of Taliban, number one. So maybe their PR managers have been able to manage the optics in a better way than they could do last time to contain the fallout of the negative publicity which they have got of mistreating women in their society. So to me, it looks it's all been a staged drama or a play. Nothing real is there. Let's see how many protests or how long these protests continue and how many more people join these protests. That will be the real test of the ground situation. If it continues, a few of those ladies, maybe it is Taliban who forced them to hold placards there. Who knows it? The kind of approach they have. So what we see may not be the real truth. We don't know. We are just seeing it from far, what media is showing us. But yes, definitely to gain legitimacy, to gain sympathy of the world, Taliban will try to do the right things or seemingly do the right things.
Okay, so in
and that should be the approach. If see, ultimately a country, as we had discussed even in the last episode, ultimately if they have to govern, they have to have certain basic rules with which they move in the international polity and have to be accepted by the international community. They may be militant in their ideas and they may be having control of their country. It's for them to decide. It's their country. We don't have anything to say. But yes, in the international community, there'll be certain norms which they may have to follow, and they are doing that. Okay. Or they're trying to do that.
In that case, do you think they will be sharing power with other warlords and the, those tribal leaders in Kabul?
I don't know what will happen, but yes, that's a possibility. And I'm saying from what I saw when I was there and the elections were held, and both the sides had got 50-50 kind of a vote. So they decided that they'll have a joint national government. That experiment succeeded. And maybe it did not succeed because ultimately their government was overthrown and the president had to leave the country. So it had the advantage that there was peace for nearly 10 years or 8 years, if we are able to say. But the termites within the society and their ideologies have eaten away the polity of that country, of that nation. And it's a poor country. It's really a poor country. If we see just 3 crores in such a big country. Yes, please.
Yeah, in the short run, what people are talking and what impression I have got from the international media, Pakistan, China, they are going to be the front runners. They are going to be the big supporters. China is going to be a big investor there. Russia is not going to invest anything right now. In any case, they don't have surplus money. But in the long run, how do you see the conduct of Taliban Afghanistan vis-a-vis Taliban Pakistan and ETIM, which is operating in China? You mentioned one point that they have got a very strong ideology. That ideology is not changing. Their, overall paraphernalia changing, but ideology is not changing. In that case, in the medium run, I'm not talking of short run, do you think Pakistan and China both have got the problem from militancy, which will be supported by Taliban Afghanistan?
But Pakistan is one of the recognized regions in the world which is the harbinger of militancy. So what they sow, they have to reap. And as far as China's concern is entirely different. They have a very different agenda. They want to dominate the world trade. So to dominate the world trade, there has to be peace. In a disturbed region, how will they, and to whom will they sell their things? And to a country which is poor, they can only dump, which China does not do. China has not dumped anything even in Africa. They want their pound of flesh, and they do get their pound of flesh. They provide easy credit, they do everything, but once the countries are not able to pay, they take over those installations, the infrastructure.
Yeah, that is what they are doing.
China has a different approach, and as far as the interests of China and many other countries in Afghanistan are basically its mineral wealth, nothing else. The kind of
I got your point, but again, the point which I am trying to drive here is how come Taliban is going to tackle the insurgency? And right now, ETIM and Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan both are fighting alongside Tehrik-e-Taliban Afghanistan. So how they are going to manage that part?
They have to think how they will manage, because ultimately, as somebody had shared a meme, they said, इतना लड़ो, अच्छे से लड़ो, एक दूसरे को खत्म कर दो. हम कहें ना कहें, ultimately वो हो ही रहा है.
So your point is basically there is going to be a lot of infighting.
See, if infighting continues, they'll self-destruct. If they have wisdom, if they have some sense, definitely they'll sit at the table and try to devise a strategy. And that strategy may or may not suit India, may or may not suit Pakistan or China. Ultimately, they have to decide whether they want. We used a term called MAD during the arms race, mutually assured destruction.
Mutually assured destruction.
So they are going mad only.
So
if they have to become sane.
No, Neeraj, but I have got a very interesting point here. In that case, you mean to say they will do with Pakistan what Pakistan did with USA as far as the fight in Afghanistan is concerned?
Can't say, because Pakistan is a country not worth discussing.
No, but the point is you can't change your neighbors.
The point is, no. I'm not saying to change the neighbors, but point is, as I said, what they sow, they'll reap, irrespective of the ideology, irrespective of that. So if they have driven these people to such a stage where they'll have to fight Pakistan itself, Pakistan doesn't have that kind of means to contain them.
Okay.
It doesn't. They may have trained them, it's fine. But beyond that, what can a country with a begging ball do? Nothing.
But there is a very, very deep concern as far as this particular point is concerned, though their deep state is celebrating, but there are concerns in the top defense establishment that what is going to happen to Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, because last time reports are very clear. Last time they wanted Taliban Afghanistan to control them and they said sorry. Then second point was they wanted them, in fact they requested so many times to accept the Durand line, they did not do that. But let's move further. Now
कर्नल साहब, ऐसा है, ये तहरीक पाकिस्तान तालिबान पाकिस्तान जो भी है, see, in one of the episodes I had mentioned, their social structure is very different. They don't go by the kind of social structure we see in India, even in Kashmir or anywhere else. Their society revolves around the warlords. And the warlords in that particular region assert in a very different way, which may not align to the political government, whether in Islamabad or in Kabul.
Yes.
So
Okay.
ultimately जो शूरा होती है ना, उनकी जो काउंसिल होती है सरदार इनके
जिगरा
warlords की, जिगरा और शूरा. So they are the ones that will decide.
Yeah,
Nothing
right
else.
now, yeah, they have decided in favor of Taliban. Tomorrow the situation may change.
Yes.
Okay.
As situation changes for any other country, situation changed for US, it left. Situation will change for Taliban, it will change its approach, nothing else. So
Yes,
they have their interests. They have their interests in the forefront.
Okay, in that case, there are two questions more. One is regarding the Al Qaeda, because Taliban leadership is committed to Al Qaeda and Al Qaeda is there. That is number one. And of course, it is a question of ideology as far as the Taliban is concerned. And second part is, you can handle this question, both these questions together or maybe separately. Second question will be, what is the Taliban going to do with the Hazaras, Shias, all those, Tajiks, Uzbeks in any case are acceptable, but what about Shias? And that affects the relationship directly with Iran. So these 2 points, how Taliban is going to tackle ideologically.
I'll answer the second question first.
Okay.
When I was moving around Afghanistan and areas where Tajiks were there, Uzbeks were there, and Hazaras, they called them Hazara, Uzbeks.
Hazara.
Hazaras were there. See, and I also said, Taliban is just an offshoot or has grown from the society of Afghanistan only. They are no different. And within the Afghan society, Tajiks, Hazaras, and Uzbeks, they are not considered to be the full citizens, even in the normal times. Because when I used to go around Kabul, my colleagues, they used to tell, ye Hazara mosque hai, ye Tajik hai. And those areas generally were safe. It's not that they were not safe, they were safe, and we used to pass through them because of security protocols. So those Tajiks and Uzbeks were not considered to be the full part of Afghan society. And I'm telling this in the peace times when there was no effect of Taliban. And Taliban is just an offshoot from the Afghan population only. बताया ना, कहीं से एयर ड्रॉप नहीं करा है, वो तो वहीं से ग्रो करे ना. And most of them are Pashtuns and Pathans. Majority of them, and they don't hold a very charitable view of these communities, and that's a fact. That's a fact. So what they'll do is difficult to say, but yes, they don't hold a very charitable view of these communities inherently. I don't know.
Okay, and what about relationship with Iran? Right now, it's looked to be koji, but once the sooner or later this Hazara factor or Shia factor is going to come into picture, definitely.
See, Shia factor was there even in Iran-Iraq war.
Yes, big one.
So I think times may have changed, but the ideologies have not changed. So we can expect some resistance, some conflict between or a difficult situation there. But who knows? Because ultimately in geopolitics, there are neither permanent friends nor permanent foes. ये तो geopolitics है, अब वहाँ तालिबान हो या कोई और हो, उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता. फर्क तो उनके interest से पड़ता है. It is the geopolitics which matters, where, how they stand and what they want to do.
But in this
case, conflict may be possible because both of them have strong ideologies, और जहाँ strong ideologies होंगी, दूसरे के point of view के लिए कहीं कोई concession नहीं होगा या जगह नहीं होगी, तो यही होगा. This will happen.
So how do you visualize the things playing up in the international circle? Who is going to recognize Taliban? What do you say? We can make out China, Russia, Pakistan. These three are
Pakistan
okay.
has still not recognized Taliban.
No,
as of
that's
now.
actually a big question. Actually, Pakistan is putting up the conditions, and that is why I put up that question to you. That Pakistan wants a weak Taliban. They are already trying to dictate those terms to them.
See, you're right. A weak country would want another country to be weaker than itself to be strong.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that may be possible. That may be possible. But frankly, Kanal Saab, the point is, it's difficult to judge or gauge what's going on in the minds of the Pakistani leadership and their military leadership. Because again, they are on a path of self-destruction sooner or later. May cause difficulty for us as their neighbors. We have to be prepared for that eventuality.
Okay, in that case, and I've got a very strong point. In fact, this point came to my mind today, that sooner or later, Taliban and India will have good relationship, provided we play our cards in the nice way. I've got a first-hand report of that Kandahar hijacking episode where Taliban said it was not our doing at all, and you left Pakistan scot-free and blamed us. It means now, after 20-25 years, those people, I'm sure they are getting wiser, they will be more intelligent, and they will not be, they would like to take the advantage of their own position. In fact, there is one very important question. Is Pakistan dependent on Afghanistan, or Afghanistan is dependent on Pakistan? I'm talking of next 2 years.
Afghanistan is not dependent on Pakistan to that extent.
Yes.
No matter what Pakistan may try to make believe the world, अब हम अपने आप को सेल्फ अपॉइंट कर लें किसी उसका गार्जियन, वो माने ना माने, मैं तेरा मेहमान, तो उससे क्या फर्क पड़ना है? So
exactly.
I don't think things will play out the way they are intended to play out, and we'll just have to wait and watch, because there are it's a little muddy situation.
Right.
To think clearly, yes, the only thing we can do is we can strategize for India to play its role effectively, keeping the national interests in mind, because we have a big constituency to address for development, for progress, and to sideline these fundamentalists and hardliner thinking. Only then we can develop. See, if the gains reach to the last common man in India, why will they want a fundamentalist country?
You are talking of internal consolidation in India.
Yes, yeah. Yes. And giving an example, I'm taking India as an example. If a country has to develop, it has to first focus on its population and then seek outside.
No, that is perfectly all right. That is perfectly all right. But my gut feeling is that sooner or later, India and Taliban are going to be on the same page. Maybe that after, of course, present political dispensation goes for consolidation.
When we could talk to a rogue Pakistan, despite their misadventures so many times, what do we lose if we talk to Taliban?
No, they will talk. They must be talking. There must be some context, definitely. I do not have any doubt about that.
India, as such, has invested a lot in Afghanistan for its people, not for India's interests. It has built roads, dams, electricity. Many things have been built. Even school colleges were started to be funded.
Actually, what I heard on the Pakistani channels is very clear. First of all, Taliban has made the statement that India should complete those projects. And even Pakistani panelist, the ex-minister was there, he mentioned this point, that India's investment is not going anywhere. Is this there in the mind of the people? So India is not going anywhere. So that is for sure. We have made dams, roads, schools, parliament. it is going to stay. It is going to be reminder to Taliban as well. And they, in fact, it is a news on GTV today. Taliban said, "Okay, you complete the project. There is no issue." So sooner or later, I've got, this thing is there in my mind that Taliban and India are going to be on the same page. It is just a matter of time, and provided Taliban comes out of this power struggle successfully, it is a matter of a lot of debate that what they are going to do next 2 years to stay in the power. So with
In
that
fact,
note,
that it
Yeah.
is. In fact, it is a struggle for them to be in power. It
Big
will be a
struggle.
difficult, and with the other elements within their society trying to put up a resistance and see. So we'll just have to wait and watch and see, Doctor. Let's see
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah. So thank you, Neeraj.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
for
It was
your
a pleasure
valuable
talking to
time.
you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure always. And we'll meet again on this issue. It's a running
Thank you.
situation.
Thank
It
you.
is going to be there. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.